Good morning, Fiji. Welcome to the brunch on MaiTV. I'm Jacquee Speight.
And I'm Stanley Simpson. Thank you for joining us this morning.
And it's great to have you back, Stanley. I missed you. All of Fiji
Thank you.
missed you. I was worried for a bit there that you might become a full-time student and not come back to us.
Well, I want to become a full-time student, Jacquee, because, well, you know, we have to pay the bills. But, you know, I had my moments of university life many years ago.
Right.
But it was really great to go back and study.
Yes.
Get in the classroom and just look at things. I mean, it was really great. It's about management. Many of us, I mean, journalists, you know, we came up the ranks,
Right.
and but we never really learned management.
That's true, yes.
You know, so, you know, some of the styles and the way we ran things was just the whole newsroom.
Like a fish market.
Fish market, pressure, deadline.
Yelling,
screaming, get this done.
Exactly. And then you come back the next day and it's,
yeah. And then we just go through the same thing again.
Yes.
We never have any time to reflect. So going there, and then we're looking deeper into management, looking into teams, how we motivate people, you know, what drives people,
Right.
you know, how we look at power relationships and things like that. You know,
Yes.
the way the way these people study,
Yeah.
how teams and how we plan
Yeah.
for things to move forward was really fascinating. And I was thinking to myself, this is why they always beat us in rugby. You know, I think because they just
Oh, really?
plan.
They just plan really well.
Really well on everything. They target individuals. You know, they look at. I mean, we do have powerful players, but I think they just it's the planning,
Yes.
management is just another level. But I think we're getting there because we're starting there. We're really
Did you watch the game over the weekend?
Man, that was I was on the plane back.
Yeah.
So as soon as I landed, first news I looked for. Magical. You know, I was one of the only people
Yes.
that predicted that.
Yes, somebody had mentioned it. They called it out on Facebook and they said, Stanley Simpson called it. And I was going, please, don't tag him. Don't.
One of the best rugby analysts.
Oh,
Anyway.
here we go. Anyways, we've got some great guests on the show this morning. We'll be talking to people in the north and the west regarding the recent floods.
And we'll also be speaking to Fijian entrepreneur Sam Ratumaitavuki, who lives in the United Arab Emirates. He's going to give us an update on the current situation in Dubai, which has been endured missile attacks from Iran over the last few days. A lot of harrowing things happening there.
A lot. But first, let's take a look at some of the news headlines this morning.
And yes, on Fiji Village, the website earlier this morning talking about, I think Vijay spoke to the president, Ratunaingamalaambalavu,
Yep.
who says he's still waiting for a response from the Judicial Services Commission.
And on the front page of the Fiji Times, Bar Town in a mess after its worst flooding in years.
So joining us now to discuss the headlines, we have Fiji Village News Director Vijay Narain and Fiji Times Editor-in-Chief Fred Wesley. Good morning, Vijay. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Stan and Jacquee.
Morning, Vijay. It's your first time on the show with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
Right, great. And part of this too is getting people to understand how people like you decide the news.
Yes.
And you know, the headlines and the stories that the
headlines.
people of Fiji
Yep.
get to hear and see, you know, with the whole
Exactly.
range of things that's happening. Now, Fred, this is quite a harsh, strong headline here. Town in a mess. I think, Fred, you're moving out of frame. Can you get back on frame? Right, set. So, you know, like, what's the situation you're getting from your journalists on the ground there?
Yes, we have that headline. Some on the mess. Obviously, after one audio, when we passed the Western Division, just a hearing a voice of it. But after the cyclone went past the Western Division, especially heavy flood waters around the country.
Fred,
Especially
we're
Western
just having issues with your audio at the moment. Can we just cross to VJ while we try to get the team try and work with you on the audio there?
Yep.
Vijay, sorry, while team is working with Fred on the audio, can we just talk about the, you spoke to the president, you know, your headline from yesterday and then this morning about his comments regarding the Judicial Services Commission, which is kind of...
Yes, we've been on it for a few weeks now. Of course, it's a very contentious issue. in relation to the acting Market Commissioner Lavi Rokoika. A lot has been said, and we continue to make attempts to try to get, first of all, with the Services Commission, we know that they've already made the recommendation for Rokoika to leave our office, but people are still waiting with bated breath on when the president will act on the recommendations. So if I get the president, I had reached out to him, and he just said that he's still waiting for the response from the JSC. So we are back with the JSC now. We know the JSC is meeting this Thursday, and we also know that they will not change their decision. There's some issues on whether some conditions have been set in relation to severance payout, and Rokoika can reapply for the FICAC post. So all these things up in the air, but we know the JSC has said they will stick by what they recommended last week.
Yeah, Vijay, there were some reports over the weekend that quoting a senior government official that the president was still awaiting the recommendations. How do you is that correct, or is that is there someone playing games?
Well, the president has said that we will not be privy to the discussions between him and the chair of the JSC, that's the Chief Justice Saleh. The contentious issue remains, though, Stanley, in relation to the JSC's recommendation and the president to act on the recommendation. Some are just saying the president can take his time, he can seek the independent legal advice. Law Society and people like Richard Naidu and Graham Leung have said the president just has to act on the advice given by JSC, because that's clear in the law. The recommendation is clear and you cannot move away. So there's two thought processes going at the moment, but definitely it can be a constitutional crisis at the moment because the JSC has already given its recommendation.
Yeah, so interesting scenarios, and of course there's still this court case to come, Vijay, with I think Justice Bull having to decide on the Rokoika appointment, which is initially what the JSC said they would wait for before they made a decision, but some events have now happened that has pushed it forward. Eh?
Exactly. So those are matters before the court at the moment, what happens before the court. But what's happening at the moment is a cascading effect, you may call it, after Justice Dane Tuyerengere ruling that the actual dismissal of Barbara Malimali as FICAC Commissioner by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister was unlawful, and he then put it to the JSC to then make decisions on what happens next as the advisory body to the president.
Jamie, please let me know when Fred's audio is good. But Vijay, you also hosted last week. I was in Australia. I saw the bits of it at I think the Drugs National Forum.
Oh, yes.
A lot of interesting things came out of there. What were some of the things that stood out for you from there?
Well, the big change there, Stanley, is that we had the Minister for Policing, Yawani Naivalurua, saying there's too much talk and we need to act now. So that sort of set the scene for the whole day, the sessions that I moderated, and a cross-section of the society attended that. What's very clear is that we've got a situation on the ground. We're in a crisis already, and we need to act. And the sharing of information, the collaboration between the different agencies, and what we need to do as a nation came to the forefront. Even the military has said that if we do not act, we can be termed as a semi-narco state in the next 2 to 3 years, and saying we need to act now because we can see the billions of dollars worth of drugs that's been found in Fiji, and the spillover that's taking place where we've got our own people now using the hard drugs, getting addicted, and which is also showing that now we have the statistics showing that about 48% of our population, rather 48% of the people who have been diagnosed with HIV it has come through sharing needles. And that's quite a startling figure. And it's come out quite quickly. In the last 3 years, it's in about 3 to 400%. Very worrying that quickly.
Okay, thank you, Fred. That's thank you, Vijay. Sorry, that's really quite a comprehensive, comprehensive breakdown from you. And I think we'll cross to Fred now. Fred's audio's improved. And
Do we
Fred,
have him
I'll just
back?
pick up on the drugs issue. I mean, because you've also covered this extensively. And how are you seeing? Where is your reporting on this right now?
Well, I think the drug issue is a very important issue for all of us. As citizens. We have to be mindful of the fact that the addiction rate is growing. We have connected issues to HIV on the rise, and we have a major problem. It's the same time we have been highlighting now for the past 4 years. The need for us to have rehabilitation centers. We can talk about a lot of things when we discuss the drug issue. But right now in our country, we do not have qualified people who are attending to drug addicts. We don't have the expertise that's needed to identify what these addicts are taking in terms of the mixture the part of the methamphetamine that's been sold. We don't have a center where they can be taken to like get out of the habit that they're getting out of. So for us as an organization, it's critically important that we have rehabilitation centers around the country to look after the addicts, help them get out of this the habit that they have. And let's be clear. This is not like marijuana, for instance. This is something that a lot of people, a lot of addicts are struggling to get out of. And that has to be something that we are aware of. That has to be something that we accept and realize that's happening in our country.
We'll cross now to Vijay again. Vijay, just the final thing from us before we go to the break. Thank you really both gentlemen for joining us. Apologies, Fred, for the technical issues from our side. But Vijay, finally on the flood situation, what's the situation you're seeing and where do we go from here?
Overnight, it has been really concerning that we still have the flash flood warning in force for the whole of Viti Levu, and flash flood alert remains in force for the whole of Banua Levu. We know that a lot of parents decided used their own discretion and did not send their children to school today. You could see that in different parts of the country, where while the schools are closed in the Western Division, there was a decision made that the schools can be open in the Central, Northern and Eastern Divisions. We're getting some reports of some flooding in the north. The system, of course, has left a lot of rain bands that continues to affect us. We're getting reports from Ba, few areas still flooded, Tavua, Nadi, Singatoka, and Raki. With the flood warnings in place, as you know, with experts saying when the alert levels are above warning levels, that is a dangerous situation. So we're still in the danger zone, and we're calling on people to listen to the weather advisories and stay safe out there.
Just finally, just from some of the footage we're seeing, are people still heeding the warnings, or are we still seeing the same old situation where people go out swimming and...
That video taken in Nadi, right, Vijay? Those children jumping into the Nadi River, flooded Nadi River.
This is a bit better, Vijay.
Exactly. We need some tough action on that because even the situation in Ba on Sunday, we had the weather warnings out from Friday, and just urging people to take the necessary precautions and move to higher ground when they're living in flood-prone areas, because in the end, it was those police officers and Red Cross workers that had to go through those raging flood waters to try to rescue the people who were severely affected by the rising floodwater levels.
Thank you, Vijay Narain, News Director for CFL Fiji Village and Editor-in-Chief of the Fiji Times, Fred Wesley. Thank you for joining us on the show
Thanks so
today.
much, Vijay. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you. We'll head to a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll be joined by Sam Ratumaitavuki live from Dubai to talk about his experience of the current instability being faced in the region.
Yep. Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch right here on MaiTV, and joining us this morning is Fijian entrepreneur Sam Ratumaitavuki, and he lives in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Mbula vanaka, Sam.
Hey, Bula, how's it going?
Sorry, we're not getting audio from Sam at the moment. Can we get...
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Thank you
Good
for joining
morning.
us.
Hey, Bula,
Yes,
I was
thank you
getting
for
worried.
joining us.
Hoping something can happen just in that split
No.
second.
Exactly, like please.
What's
Everything's
the
fine,
latest happening there? I know, things are not so, not so pleasant, one
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah.
With everything was going well in the region, and then suddenly bang, and then maybe you can give us an update on the latest situation, or maybe where were you when the first missiles hit Dubai?
For those that follow me, I live on the Palm Jumeirah, so that's the Palm Island, and so the spot. So I was there. I just woke up, heard some fireworks, and walked outside, seen clouds in the air, and for the last 3 days actually.
How far away were those missiles hitting? Like, how close were they?
Well, a lot of them are the interceptions. So the pairing, a lot of them is the UAE military actually shooting down a lot of the thing, So if you hear a loud bang, and it's in the air, it's a good sign that the military is doing their job. But some of the shrapnel actually from those bombs has landed in the Palm hotels, one of the 5-star hotels, which is only a few kilometers up the road. Actually, I drive past, got hit from one of the shrapnels, and so just a couple kilometers.
So what's the mood like? Are people, feeling, feeling that they have enough defensive systems to protect themselves, or there's real concern that this could spiral out of control?
Well, at this current stage, the Iranians are kind of just targeting U.S. military bases in the region. So, it's the first few days of so those are the main targets at the moment. The UAE U.S. bases in the region. Obviously, the airport got attacked a couple days ago. But there's 3 camps actually. There's one to stay, live life as normal with men. Others who have fled. The 6-7 hour drive away to Oman and out of there. And there's people that have just stayed in the house. So that's the 3 different types at the
You're so close to the conflict. Obviously, it must feel very real compared to just watching it normally on television. How have you been coping, dealing with all of this, dealing with the stress, the worry? How have you been handling that?
Me personally, to be honest, I just have fireworks, but I have full confidence in the UAE military. They've shot down drones and missiles. I'm just living living my normal day to day. I'm not too worried personally myself.
That's a real Fijian.
At this stage.
Yeah, he is. He's just like
Fijian
one day at a time.
Everything. And talking about that, what are you hearing from the rest of the Fijian community? I understand there's a good number of Fijians living in Dubai. Are you in touch with them?
Out of the Pacific, the most is the Fijian community. Shout out to the Desert Fiji Souths. I've got a few of them are based in the outer regions of Dubai, so firing line. But yeah, everyone's hoping.
And you, the Fijians here that are living in Dubai, what industry are mostly working in? Are these pilots, hospitality? What industries are the Fijians?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of nurses. There's a lot of school teachers out here. School teachers, nurses, and then rugby team. You'll find a few Fijians, right? Even in the UAE national team, I'd say there's 4 or 5.
Yeah, I noticed, Sam, you've been going on, regularly posting on Facebook.
Yes.
And keeping everyone updated.
Yep.
And you're also known for your entrepreneurship. How's the hustle going despite the war? Is it continuing, or is things have ground to a halt?
Well, for myself, I make money online. So I don't really need to walk in a physical location. So that's the good thing. I call it Wi-Fi money. Make online a personal brand and monetizing it. So it's been a blessing. I'm still able to do what I normally do.
My money.
Yeah.
That's a new way to make
Yes,
money.
that
I'd say that's
is.
somewhere we ought to look at.
Absolutely.
We'll not talk about money. We'll come back and have another discussion with you at another time.
Yep.
About your entrepreneurship, and we'll have a dedicated show on that because a few people was asking us to discuss that with you, but we're focused on the situation in the Middle East. How do you see this playing out going forward? There's a lot of misinformation.
A lot of misinformation
going around. We don't know what's the truth. So what are some good sources? And, where do you see this playing out? And, is there a chance for peace?
Well, look, to be honest, that's great, but I can just judge from what I'm seeing and just, the information that I'm digesting. Look, I think that the situation, the leader has violated and I think that they're not going to stop until there's regime change in Iran. So hopefully that happens soon. I think that majority of that. So yeah, that's about it. And I just hope UAE. It was good to see the UAE leader. He was out at mall. So the fact that he's out in the mall, it's he's bringing a lot of calmness. And yeah. So let's see how it plays out. I guess it's just it comes about right now.
Speaking of Dubai's leader, there's that wonderful story that's been going around, and everyone's just in awe. Where I think he made he advised all hoteliers and everyone in tourism a commitment for visitors who are visiting at this time not to worry about leaving, just stay where you are. That Dubai will take care of everything, all the extra expenses as this is all happening.
Yeah, great leadership there, Sam.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, with the airports closed, well, they've just opened actually in the last 12 hours for a few flights. Especially, Dubai is a lot of tourism. Especially in the region, it's a lot of the GDP is the tourism industry, and a lot of people were stuck, unable to move. And that was one of the calls in the first couple of days: is stay where you are. Obviously, they can't kick them out, but somewhere else. So leadership there, just chill. And I think they're going to give these people a good experience. Seeing how Dubai's coped with it first during the whole COVID.
Thank you very much, Sam Ratumaitavuki. It's been really great talking to you. Please stay safe.
Sam.
We'll be in touch. We'll probably cross again to you and others on Friday just to see how these things going. A really interesting situation. Playing out there in the Middle East. So we have to go to a short break now. But before that, check out this quick and easy recipe from the great people at Extra Supermarket.
Oh, it's a quick banana oats breakfast. You love banana oats.
Today we're making a quick and nourishing banana oats breakfast. Perfect for sustained energy and supporting gut health. Start by peeling a ripe banana. The banana adds natural sweetness, potassium for muscle function, and prebiotic fiber to support a healthy gut. And mash it in a bowl. Pour in low-fat milk depending on your preference. Add in your rolled oats into a pot. Place it over medium heat and allow the oats to cook gently, stirring occasionally to prevent sticking. Once the oats are soft and creamy, fold the mashed banana straight into the pot. Oats are rich in soluble fiber, especially the beta-glucan, which helps improve digestion and keeps you feeling fuller for longer. Finally, drizzle a little honey over the top for added flavor and a natural energy boost. Simple, nutritious, and ready in minutes.
Welcome back. You're watching The Brunch right here on MaiTV, and we hope you're enjoying the show so far. Thousands of people were affected by floods in the west of Fiji over the weekend and into Monday. And at the center of disaster assessments and relief efforts is Fale Viti, which helps coordinate relief efforts nationwide. And this morning we're joined by Fale Viti Chairman Sepesa Rasili in Labasa and Tevita Evo, who is in Nadi. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you so much for agreeing to come onto the brunch this morning to join Stanley and I and give us a bit of insight into the situation on the ground.
Bulavinaka. So Tevita, what's the situation like in Nandi and then those western areas, which seems to be the most affected? Eh?
Yeah. Uh, yes, Bulapinaka said, the rain has stopped here in Nadi. There was a big flood yesterday. It happened also here. When I was traveling from Ba to Lotoka, the flooding has ceased. But there's a lot of damages to these areas, yeah? Especially in the market in Ba, farmers living in the low-lying areas in Ba, and also in Nandi yesterday. Yeah.
You're talking about damages. What's this? Like this is to the crops, to the supermarkets, or to homes? What? Who's the most
Uh,
affected?
um, Most of the farmers, example in Bai, we have this farmer whose 4 acres of eggplant was washed away 2 days ago. Also, the shops in Bar, a lot of goods and the things that they sell were damaged, especially also in the market. There's a lot of produce that were kept in the market also were damaged because of the flooding. Yeah.
Sepesa. Could we cross to Sepesa now? Sepesa, are you able to give us an overview of the situation in Labasa? How many people have been affected? And really, what are the most urgent needs right now for those on the ground?
In with bouts of rain, we would have very heavy rain with only all day. The updates we've received so far is from our farming communities reported by Nirmala in Bonivivui. Is as of this morning the rivers it keeps on increasing, and they are deeply impacted because of livelihoods from the vegetable farms. They've had to pull out those that are almost mature and getting ready for the market, but then accessing the market would mean them getting on the road with flooded. And another story is from Gelemumumu about hours drive out of Lambasa town. The bridge that connects Lambasa to their village or their village has been underwater for the last 2 days. Access for them, students going to school, those going to the market with their produce, and those trying to access the access that's been affected. So there's no movement at all. So they've had to work with whatever locally. If for example, if there's anybody that's sick, they would have to go to the nursing or the village health nurse and the community health work for all of that. Impacted to some sort. That some students are still remaining at home. My neighbor said that the school has called them to stay at home, even though the report from the weatherman has said it's all schools offer the Ministry of Education for the North and Central Division to go back to school. But that's those the impacts at the household level.
So that's really sad just hearing about the farmers, especially when you're talking about people whose produce is almost just ready to go to the market and then losing it. So there's a big economic cost we're going to see with this. What's the response like?
Yes.
Are you still mobilizing, or how is both civil society, NGOs, and government responded?
So far, we've heard of petitions. Our report to government through us feedback mechanism tool that we collect information from the ground and with relevant authorities. And in terms of conversations, we've heard of all the Empire Pacific in the West has reached with on where should they go, or be that that's the coordination with other civil society organizations. But in the North, there's very little in terms of movement to access communities and people, but we are collecting and collating numbers and sharing it with the NDRMO and the PS office, and I hope they'll be feet on the ground to not only do assessment, but really go out and on in whatever. For example, I think near Mala, from when you like to take their produce to the market, and those are the things that we the what we would be asking for, Renata.
Thank you. Can we cross back to Tevita?
Oh, yes.
Just about Tevita, just, this, I see Fiji Times today, lepto threat grows. These are some of, apart from the economic situation, there's also the health risks that need to be looked at.
Yes.
How are you looking to, what's the response from the services responses and the government to this issue? How are you guys addressing that?
Sure. We are so thankful that yesterday Dr. Salome from MSP, Medical Services Pacific, has reached out to us and was asking on the update for the flooding in the West. So I was able to share these updates to her. And they are ready to go to the community in terms of health intervention and especially on LTDD. We are so grateful also to other CSO partners that they will be helping us on this. Thank you.
One thing I've been that was interesting to me was that this cyclone didn't hit us.
No.
It was that far away.
It was.
But the impact of
yes.
it, that's really something to consider. This is why I think Sepesa and Tevita, just to get your thoughts, preparations and being prepared and just following all the advice and the alerts is very important. In this area because this is so far away.
Yep.
But just that rain, like you said, all of a sudden it hit. Nadi, Tevita, what's your view from the West on that? Because it seemed like everyone was taken by surprise.
Somewhat, I'm sure a majority of them were taken by surprise, but it was also good to see that there was also a number of people who heeded the warnings. I think Fiji Met stayed on top of it. NDMO, they really came in hard right from the beginning, not with just English warnings.
The comms was on point.
Exactly. The comms was on point this time round. So,
your view, Tevita?
Yeah. Sure. Yes, I think Fiji Med did a great job. Also sharing information on weather updates and what was happening with URML, the pathways and directions. I think they were really great. I think probably because of some communities, probably the geographical location, they were not able to take heed of the weather forecast and all those warnings. I think it needs everyone to work together, especially during this time, and sharing information from our stakeholders, especially Fiji Met. Yeah.
Tevita, from what you're seeing, what immediate assistance would be, much needed at this time within the next 48 hours? What immediate assistance are you seeing that is needed by the people on the ground at this time?
Yes. In some communities, there's no water at the moment. I think there's urgent need of water in Singatoka, and also some communities in Bali. Food items as well. We have issues where people in some of the communities where their food rations that they had were damaged by the flooding. So probably water, some food, and probably the health intervention later on. Yeah.
Is Sepesa still with us? Sepesa, the situation in the north. I just want to pick up from a point from Tevita about communication to remote, geographically isolated areas. What's a way we can look at improving on that?
Stanley. Here in the north, just like in adding on to what Tevita mentioned, communication, if would be conversations or flyers or materials that are all here, and it sits with not only at the NDRMO office here, but it goes down in the Durangani quarters. because connectivity is still an issue. We've had to leave information and then call an hour later or maybe a day later when they are connected. So the good that we've seen in the and the videos on Facebook, but how to translate down, how can we put out further to these that may not have access to the Facebook Messenger, to conversations on Facebook and other social media platforms. The video is still a huge way to communicate this in communities, in rural out communities who do not have internet, like it's a large rest of us. That's with regards to communication standing.
Yeah. Look, one of the issues, final question before we go to the break, to both of you. In the past, things have improved, but in the past there used to be breakdown in the work, between the agencies, in the response. Like some people going one way and another group going one way and government going another way.
Yeah.
How's this interagency coordination going, working this time?
I missed that question as a big truck went past the house. It's an intervention.
Tevita, did you hear the question about the interagency coordination? How is that improving? How's that working?
Are doing great, but we need to strengthen that. There are some miscommunication at times, but we are grateful. We have a lot of CSO and our government stakeholders that we need to have to work in terms of in disaster, not like in the Thank you.
Right, yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us this
Keep
morning.
up the great work.
Thank
you.
We'll be right back after this short break, but first we join Alphonsus at Extra Supermarket.
Welcome to Extra Supermarket, your one-stop shop for flavor, freshness, and fantastic value. Now you gotta start your morning right with a Yarra Valley 300-gram jam. Now this is available in amazing, delicious variety of flavors. Perfectly spreadable, rich in flavor, and ideal for toast, scones, pancakes, or even baking. Now, with Yarra Valley, your breakfast just got better with Extra. Now let's talk about some serious cooking flavors. The Apple range has a variety of things you need to level up your cooking. Mushroom dark soy sauce and superior dark or light soy sauce, available in both 150 ml and large 625 ml bottles. Blended sesame oil for that nutty aroma, oyster sauce for rich savory depth, and Thai sweet chili sauce for that perfect balance of sweet and spice. Now for a quick noodle dish or big feast, Apple is sure to bring that authentic taste to your table. Now, if you're looking to cool down, grab yourself a can of Shasta, which comes in amazing flavors like Tiki Punch, Ginger Ale, Grape, Black Cherry, Cola, and Lemon Lime Twist. Bright, bold flavors that are perfect for lunch, family gatherings, or if you're just relaxing at home. From savory sauces to ice cold refreshments and sweet spreads, everything you need is right here at Extra.
Welcome back. You're watching the Brunch on MaiTV, and we hope you're enjoying the show so far. We've had some technical difficulties. I think the internet's been playing up, but
morning.
the show will go on.
The show must go on. And Stanley, we have Ise and Johnny, Seni Ronga, who have found an excuse to have brunch out of the office, and they're on standby to join us live now.
I think they're getting really too creative
Hello,
for my liking.
boys. How are you?
Are we able to cross to them?
Are we?
Oh, there they are.
And Johnny Tomuse is also with them. Both Johnnies are there. So that's where you all disappeared to.
Ice Mula, what's happening?
This coffee shop that recently just opened. It's called Kayi. It's owned by a beautiful Lawan lady and Miss Tailasa. She's from Libya. Oh, she's from here. So when we walked in, Johnny just went straight away on the breakfast.
I'm sorry, the audio is a bit, a bit, a bit. Oh, okay, can you try again, No Ice? Can you start again from the top? What's happening? Where are you guys?
So we are here in Yatulawa Cave. That's right opposite the bus stand. And we are at this coffee shop that's called Kayi Coffee Shop. And it's owned by this Lawan lady. Her name is Miss Tailasa. She's from Lawan.
Man.
I know her well. She's an amazing, well done, Tailasa. How's the food like at
How's
Tailasa's
the food? Show us what you're having right now.
I got cassava cake, my favorite. I've got roti bakalolo. And that's the only thing I'm having this morning. Jackie and I had too much cover last night. So I'm having a roti and roll to wash it down. And the coffee is very lovely. The coffee is very lovely. I've never tasted
very, very nice. And
anywhere else.
the coffee shop been on?
So what time does the coffee shop open, Isaiah? Like, what time does she begin operations? What time does she close?
She comes in at 6, and the shop is open for the public at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Morning for breakfast even.
I think you and I know where to go to next time.
To have our breakfast. And what's the favorite that you guys are testing there from the assorted things I see that you guys are having?
Cassava cake with cheese on top.
I hope she's charging you full price and not giving you a discount.
Yeah. We don't want to get
Well,
exposed.
hopefully the to pay the breakfast, Jackie.
All right, so that's it. The Yatulaw Arcade.
Yatulaw Arcade.
Okay, that's at the Yatulaw Arcade. Enjoy, boys. Make sure you bring something back for us. Eh?
Exactly. Make sure. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to both our Johnnies and Isaiah. We'll take a quick look now at some of the amazing PSB shows we have on MaiTV at the moment. On Women's Sports Center last night, host Asinati Serevi spoke with Lindell Fisher.
That's right. She's had such an inspiring journey with athletics in Fiji, from representing the country in swimming at the South Pacific Games and the 1974 Commonwealth Games. She went on to represent Fiji in golf, as well as committing 19 years of her life to sports administration.
30 years.
30 years of her life to sports administration with Fasanok, such a legend.
Absolutely. And here's a little snippet from her interview with Asinati Serevi, where she leaves a timely reminder for budding female athletes.
So if you had just a final message to young women and girls that's watching the show today, what would it be?
Just live your dream. If you dream of wanting to represent in a sport, go for it. And as I said earlier, please keep away from drugs. Say no to drugs. It's your game, your sport, your body. And I just wish all the upcoming superstars that we have out there.
I love our Women's Sports Center show.
That's brilliant
You
stuff.
know, we've had Kathy Wong on.
Inspiring.
Inspiring. And now we have Lindell. I'm looking forward to who the next one is going to be. We also had Jasmine last week.
Yes.
So that was fantastic.
That was a great show too.
Yeah. The Women's Sports Center show is on Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
And airing tomorrow night is another great local show from the team Young Entrepreneurs. In tomorrow's episode, we meet Gabriella, a mother of 3 who built a trucking company from a single loan.
Yeah.
And relentless determination.
Amazing. I can't wait to see this one.
I remember this one time this lady saw me get up. She's like, "Oh, it's you." And I was like, "Yes, it's me." And she's like, "You drive this truck?" And I'm like, "Yes, I just got off the driver's seat. I drive it all the way from Blavi to here and we're ready to load. And you're gonna take my 3-seater couch?" And I was like, yes, I have the safety straps. So we have imported straps we put on and we belt ourselves to the items. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she like walked away. I could feel it, like there was no trust there. So I remember what my husband said. He said, just put your head down and keep moving forward. And we did it. So at the end of the day, she came back to us and she thanked us because the couch went all the way to Nadi. And a job well done. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely
love that. I have to watch that. That was really something to watch.
So that's Young Entrepreneurs, and it is produced none other by Alphonsus Ravosai, and it airs Wednesday evenings at 7:30 right here on MaiTV. And you can also catch all the MaiTV local shows on our YouTube channel. If you're not sure how to navigate that, get onto YouTube and type in MaiTV Fiji in the search bar, and you're going to see our channel come up with all our videos. Click subscribe, and then you'll see all the different playlists. Honestly, the shows we've been producing, I'm so proud of the team.
Proud of the team.
Very, very proud. We'll take a look now at our shot of the day.
This lovely shot was sent in by Sepesa Rasili and was taken from Taralangi in Raki, looking out towards Malacca Island.
What
Beautiful
a
shot.
gorgeous, gorgeous shot out in Raki. Now, we'd love to see pictures or videos from different parts of Fiji right here on The Brunch. If you have one and you'd like to feature it on the show, please send it in to us on the MaiTV Facebook page or email brunch@mytvfiji.com.
We also have a weekly poll question on the MaiTV Facebook page. Last week, Jackie and Temesia asked, do you think the Drua can beat the Hurricanes in Lautoka?
Now, 60% of respondents said yes.
Oh, a lot of faith in the team.
Yes, absolutely. And 40% said no, they could not win.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to the 40%?
The 40%, they need to be spoken to about their loyalty to this country. This week, we are asking, should FICAC be abolished?
Oh, that's a heavy question.
That's a heavy one.
Why you do that to the public? We go from rugby and now we're asking them the hard question.
Well, to let us know what you think, follow us on Facebook if you haven't already and participate in our poll question.
And that's all we have time for today. Unfortunately, I know Stan would love to stay with you all morning, but we cannot.
As long as there's some food, I'll stay, but...
So, you know, we hope you've enjoyed the show just as much as we have. We thank you again for joining us. And from the Brunch team, I'm Jacquee Speight.
And I'm Stanley Simpson. Goodbye for now.